This program is brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana. Welcome to First Issues. In this segment of the program, we bring attention to those who are brave enough to follow their dreams, to solve societal problems, enterprising, even in the face of mammoth challenges, especially now during volatile times such as these. The current economic climate of Botswana, where diversification is paramount and the shadow of unemployment looms large, the need for homegrown entrepreneurial solutions has never been more critical. The latest data reveals that the national unemployment rate hovers around 23.1%, soaring to a staggering 43.9% for youth, according to Trending Economics. It is entrepreneurs, particularly those who see opportunity in sectors like agriculture, which employs nearly 18% of the workforce, who will forge the path to inclusive economic growth and sustained job creation. Our guest, Lesedi Masilo, is a prime example of this vital pivot. Lesedi's story is a compelling case study of pivoting professional expertise to meet a pressing societal need. Before her pivot, Lesedi thrived in the rigorous world of financial services, accumulating 12 years of experience in banking and pension fund administration. The dramatic turning point in Lesedi's career came not from a planned trajectory, but from a global crisis. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Lesedi made the bold decision to quit her corporate job. This was not merely a lifestyle change, it was a direct entrepreneurial response to food system fragility. She watched as supply chain disruptions left grocery store shelves empty, creating a severe shortage of essential vegetables. Her bravery led to the founding of Maxi Farms, a commercial operation that is focused on horticultural products like cucumbers, tomatoes, sweet peppers, and more. Lesedi's aim was not just to grow food, but to establish an integrated farm that operates with the same precision and structure as any successful modern business. Our conversation with Lesedi takes place on her farm in Ruretse.
It was during COVID-19 when lockdown was announced. Immediately when lockdown was announced, my family was staying in Block 10. We already had a house here. It was not complete. The whole idea was that if only we can just produce whatever we are producing for us to eat. And that's how it began. So really, it wasn't planned.
But to your point, this was not planned, but you decided during a very volatile period, the whole over, to actually quit your job and go into this full-time. Were you not terrified that it may not work out? And then what?
To be honest, I'm still terrified because it's a wild dream. So immediately after we moved here, we started producing small vegetables, and also we're having eggs layers. So where I was working, those were my first customers. And I think that's what gave me the comfort to say, you know what, if there's such a large demand or request for my produce from a small group of people that I'm working with, if I can expand my production and it can reach more people, they will still appreciate and take it. So as crazy as it was, as scary as it was, I had just had a small baby. I just had a small baby. I decided, you know what, I'm having two babies. There's a small one that is alive, then there's this Maxi Farms. I'm not going back to the office. Immediately after my maternity leave, I said, no, thank you. I'm not coming back. I'm going to go into farming full time and see if it can really go further than I thought.
During that time, if I remember correctly, a lot more people were going into farming as well, right? So then what is it that you were doing differently, that you still do differently today, that sets you apart from the rest of the people that you started with?
I think really what helped was my background in finance and pension fund administration, or maybe the strategic view of things. So when I got into farming, I went for the crops or the produce that were very uncommon. So I would go and see what other people not producing. That's where I can come in. And I think cucumber was one of them. There were not really a lot of producers of cucumbers locally. And peppers, there was a lot of people that were producing peppers, but they were producing the green pepper. They were only stopping at the green pepper. Even currently, there's still very few farmers producing the colored peppers. So those are the crops that I was saying, you know what, for me to be different, for me to win on this thing, I need to choose the hard part that nobody's taking. That nobody's producing, and go all out on them. So that's basically how it happened. I guess to be honest with you, there were other crops that I tried on a small scale that I realized, no, for me to be able to win at this, I need a larger space. For instance, somebody who is producing cabbage, for them to break even, they need to be selling quite a lot of cabbage. I don't have the land to do cabbage at a large scale. So I had to go for high value crops that I can grow on a small space, but get a lot of value out of them.
bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala go duela metsi.
Mama, ka mala jana o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motho. Ma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwala FNB Cash Plus. So se tlhokanyela ke o mangwa gago mo tirisong le reference number e bon dinomoro tse diriswang go ruragatsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
Madonna makante ke mo ntse samplele ka mananeo a FNB ya Cash Plus.
La ha re le nna ke gone go utang ka dona ebile ke be ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB. Dona. Nyawa ene ke ra sa thare. Mpare mo tiki. Na ke ra go motho hela mamarapedi o tola skontere hela o bua go semosong wa go duela semosong manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
FNB, how can we help you?
Where I was working, those were my first customers. And I think that's what gave me the comfort to say, you know what, if there's such a large demand or request for my produce from a small group of people that I'm working with, if I can expand my production and it can reach more people, they will still appreciate and take it.
Thank you so much for staying with First Issues. Our conversation with the founder of PK Maxi Farms, Lesedi Masilo, continues as she unpacks the challenges she faces as a farmer.
Are there any challenges that you feel are critical to your undertaking that if they were to be addressed right this very moment, your plight would be made 20 times or even 30 times better than where you are right now?
What would help me to have been far better than now? It's from policy making, as little as legislation and changing how the sector itself is run, linking the buyer to the farmer, those type of things. I think that needs to be really corrected. in terms of growing the small-scale farmer. So that there is a lot of us that are producing for that particular market. Once we have reached our local market, then we'll say the excess we can either process or we can export to other markets. So until then, we will continue doing at our little places there and meeting up at the market, only realizing that, in fact, you've produced more than what the market does, or you've produced too little.
So if you were to wake up tomorrow and everything here on the farm, Sejoloke frosty, it has died or withered away and there's no way of reviving it, would you still try again? Would you still want to go back into agriculture?
Actually, that day has happened. That day has happened. I think that day we were caught napping. We underestimated the temperatures that very morning. So usually when we grow on this particular tunnel in winter, there's also another layer of frost cover that we put on top of our crops. So that day we didn't do that, because I thought we still had more days before the frost came. But that year, the frost came earlier, in May. So I looked at the temperatures early in the morning, around 4 a.m. And I could see, no. The temperatures are really low. So we came to the farm around that time, and we had like peppers, like more than 6,000 peppers in this thing, and they were all withered like that. So just that simple thing of not acting on time, it costed us a lot of produce. So yes, I've experienced coming here early in the morning and waking up everybody. Well, there's nothing really much you can do to watch and come back here the following day and see if there's anything that can be resuscitated. If there's nothing, then you uproot and you go back and you try again. So we did exactly that. We gave them a few days, gave them anything that we can give them to resuscitate the plants, but they didn't look like they were going to come back. So we had to uproot and start again.
In all that you do, and all that you've been through in trying to achieve this vision, this dream that you have, when you stop for a second and appreciate yourself, what are those things that you are most proud of?
When I started farming, we only had one. We only had one worker, and we now have 5 full-time workers and consultants. We have 3 consultants, and we also have laborers that we bring in as and when the need arises. So I think that's also a proud moment for me to say right now I've got 8 people that are on my payroll that we are helping on a monthly basis. So that's a good moment for me. We've been hit by frost. We've had a lot of challenges. We've really seen much in this almost 5 years of our farming journey, but we are still here and we are growing. Even our revenue is growing. So it shows that there's a lot that we can still do, and we are going to continue doing it and doing it better. Every time we are learning how to improve on our yields so that we can increase our output. So that's basically it.
In the end, Lesedi Masilo, with her enterprise PK Maxi Farms, stands as a testament that agriculture is a dynamic sector ripe for professional investment and innovation, planting the seeds for a sustainable, homegrown solution that directly addresses Botswana's economic imperative for diversification and job creation. We will see you shortly after commercials.
tla bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala go duela metsi.
Mama, ka re maletse ana ha o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motlho.
Senthe.
Ma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwao la FNB Cash Plus. Se se tlhokanyela ke o mang wa gago mo tirisong le reference number e bong dinomoro tse diriswang go ruragatsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
madona mma kante ke montse o sampolele ka mananeo a FNB ya Cash Plus.
Hela ha re le nna ke gone ke utlwang ka dona ebile ke ne ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB.
Dona. Nyawa ene ke ra sa thare. Mpare motiki. Na ke ra go motho hela mamrapedi. Go tola skontere hela. O bua go semosong wa go duela semosong. Manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to First Issues. On a previous episode, we were in conversation with Senior Manager Pre-Legal Collections Buinelo Modise from one of the local commercial banks, discussing solutions to the financial distress some entrepreneurs face every so often. She said that there are a few warning signs that one is in financial distress. These include being unable to keep up with bills, consistently dipping into savings, getting into debt, but most importantly, not being able to service loan obligations with your financier, for example, a bank. Buinelo says even when it looks dire, the situation can still be salvaged, but only if the person in distress goes into the bank to state their case. But there are instances where a client has not made their way to the bank to state their case. So what then? This is where our conversation with attorney and compliance practitioner Tato Marapelo from one of the local commercial banks comes in. Tato, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We're continuing our conversation on financial distress that we, piggybacking on a conversation that we had with your colleague Buinelo, right? But she was talking to us about instances where the situation is still salvageable, right? A customer can raise their hand and say, I need help. And then solutions are provided. But in the instance where now your debtor can't pay or honor their facilities obligations, what is the next step? What happens to them?
Firstly, let me thank you, Bonasero, for having me. Based off what we has already spoken to, it is very important for someone to raise their hand, the earlier the better, so that the situation can be salvaged. But in instances where they failed to do that, the next available option to the creditor is to pursue legal action. So in terms of the Botswana legal framework, the creditors are at liberty to opt whether to pursue legal action against the debtor in order to recover the debt. This will entail, like I said, engaging or filing with the courts, be it magistrates courts or the High Court, depending on the amount that the creditor is pursuing the debtor for. And in that instance, that would mean once the creditor has been granted judgment, they are at liberty to execute on the judgment. One of the things that they can do in execution of that judgment is to sell the debtor's property, be it movable or immovable. In other instances, they are at liberty to pursue or garnish one's wages. And also, the last and most rare one would be to pursue civil imprisonment, where one will be imprisoned for failure to pay the debt. So those are the options that are available to the creditor in the instance that one is not able to meet their financial obligations.
I don't know if this would be putting you in a corner, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I need to understand you were talking about the courts, about the magistrates, and you're talking about selling property to be able to clear off the debt, whether it's immovable or movable, right? But instances sometimes we see an auction, and this is by sheriff so and so. Like, maybe clarify there when what happens.
Once a creditor has been granted judgment, the sheriff will be engaged as the deputy sheriff of the Register of the High Court to help facilitate and recover the debt through an auction. So therefore it means the judgment will then mandate the sheriff to sell whatever property that the debtor may have, to attach and sell that property in order to recover the debt. So you will come in at the execution point, where they come in at the execution point where they are now executing the judgment that has been granted in favor of the creditor.
In the end though, what key message would you like to impart to our viewer, the entrepreneurs, the SMEs, corporates who may be watching this conversation and wanting to understand how they deal with a situation where they are far gone?
I think the message is that there's no such thing as being far gone. There's always room and opportunity to try and strike a deal that would be best suited for both parties, because at the end of the day the creditor is also trying to recover money. And in some instances, even when you go through the judgment phase and sell properties, ultimately you don't always recover your money in full. So it is very important for people to raise their hands earlier, negotiate on terms that are favorable to both parties, to avoid having to incur more costs with the legal process.
In the words of Tato Marapelo, there is no such thing as too far gone. All you have to do when you find yourself in a distressed financial situation is to raise your hand for help. That's all the First Issues team had tonight. Till next time, good night. This program was proudly brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.